Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to this emergency podcast show, I guess. I don't know what this is. We're just going on here, hopping on because we have received some terrible news, and then we received even worse news. So on top of the Rowdy Tellez signing, it appears that no, but for real. So it was reported basically DK came out and said that Endy Rodriguez underwent surgery. And we all went, oh boy. And now it's confirmed. The Pittsburgh Pirates just came out. Endy Rodriguez underwent Tommy John surgery. He's going to be out for 2024. Guys.
Yeah. Group therapy session time, I guess. Just awful news. Just awful news. You get the news about Oviedo earlier in the offseason. And now we're hit with this. Endy Rodriguez was going to be relied upon to be a very big part of this 2024 team. And now he's no longer going to play at all next year. This now makes a lot of sense. The Ali Sanchez signing makes sense now. Henry Davis, being a full-time catcher makes a lot of sense now. But yeah, this hurts for sure. Yeah. Nothing good can ever happen to us, ever.
No. Ever. It is a constant cycle of misery. Like, even if you don't buy the bat, he was really good at defensive framing. And the whole pop time, he was looking really good back there. So you're hoping the bat develops now. And now you've just wasted another year. He's going to be 25 next year?
Yeah.
We're wasting so much time here. And it's so unfortunate.
When you add in the year they wasted with Cruz last year too. It's like a whole year of two of your top prospects over the last 2 seasons. You just lost out on an entire year.
Yeah.
There's so many layers to unpack here. So many. We're not going to draw this out to be a 2-hour-long show, which it could be. We'll have NS9 Live tomorrow, which we'll talk more in depth on. But yeah, it's bad because it's like you've already lost Johan Oviedo to Tommy John as a pitcher, which was huge because you're down to one pitcher. There's a lot of work to be done. He's also a young guy that you're looking for, a big part of this future. And now Endy being out, it's just like with everything we've been talking about with this offseason, you're watching around the league, you're seeing the Reds do stuff, you're seeing the Cardinals do stuff, you're just seeing teams improve. You're saying, what's going on, Pittsburgh? You got to do something here. And they've gotten worse. They got worse by the loss of Oviedo. Right? When you ended the season, you had Oviedo, now you don't, right? That's how they got worse. They literally lost a pitcher. And now you lost Endy Rodriguez. And they're going backwards. And Ali Sanchez, Marco Gonzalez, Rowdy Tellez, that doesn't fill the gaps for me here, guys.
Yeah, you took a 76-win team. You replaced Oviedo with Marco Gonzalez. You replaced Endy Rodriguez with Ali Sanchez. And you replaced Carlos Santana / Alfonso Rivas for Rowdy Tellez. The team hasn't gotten better at all. It's gotten worse. And again, there's still a lot of time left, but this is a gut punch for sure. This is not news that I was expecting.
It's when they said you want to replicate the Rays, I didn't know the only way we'd replicate the Rays was just the amount of elbow injuries, because this is 5 in the last calendar year. Is it more? Is it less? Because it's Endy, it's Oviedo, it's Burrows, Keller. Is it Burrows, Brubaker, and I feel like I'm missing one more. Oh, I don't know.
Velasquez.
I don't know. Velasquez, and can we throw in Garcia in there too? Can he grip a baseball yet?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. I don't know how we keep doing this every 3 months.
Guys, this is a sad state right now. Like, it really is. Like, if you're a Pirates fan, it's just it's frustrating, right? Again, we keep talking about it. Like, yes, there's a lot of offseason left, but it's frustrating not seeing things happen. But like the only thing that do happen is Johan Oviedo gets Tommy John, and now Endy Rodriguez. It's like it's nothing but bad news. Hey, here's Doug. He hopped on.
Hey,
Dougie.
All these
How's everybody?
unreported news of, hey, we signed somebody.
Oh,
The Pirates
Ali Sanchez. That's it.
lose
I'm more enthused.
Johan Oviedo, and now they've lost Endy Rodriguez for the year.
Is it out for the year? I mean, didn't Tani just have Tommy John? And
Yeah,
I mean,
so the
that's
Pirates announced just a little bit ago he will miss all of 2024.
oh my God,
that was
cursed.
surprising to me because like I thought like it would kind of be like almost like a Bryce Harper thing where you get the surgery but you can't really throw the baseball, so you play first or you DH, but like you can still hit.
That's what I was hoping.
I can't believe it's the entire year. That's crazy to me.
And don't worry, we have Rowdy Tellez, so it's fine. No, wait, Neil, you're a Tellez fan. It's noticing in the chat there. The last one left.
Not that I really want to do a Tellez debate, but like I understand why they signed him. I get it.
Well, I get it too because he was like the cheapest option available for like the minimum requirement of filling the position.
I mean, that's exactly it. We're not. I think you tweeted out. I thought we were shopping in a different aisle, but we need to go to a different store.
Yeah, we just didn't realize it was backwards. Like, it was even more backwards.
Yeah. We went to different aisle. We went to the discounted bin there.
It's
got
just the
DVDs
checkout line where you're getting like Tic Tacs.
We're in that aisle.
It's just
that's
one of
got
those deals.
VHS tapes in it, right?
But
Yeah,
like,
it's just go ahead.
Yeah, basically, like my whole thing is like, this is a guy who like cheap power. The Pirates have no power. Like we all know this. The Pirates do not have guys who hit the ball out of the park. So like Rowdy Tellez is a guy who can technically do that. Rowdy Tellez is a guy who doesn't swing. He doesn't chase. He waits for his pitch. He very much subscribes to the Andy Haynes theory. Like he is like the Vogelbach signing from 2022. And Vogelbach
for Oviedo, then.
Yeah, Vogelbach for like his shortcomings was a good hitter here. So like I understand what they want to do. And for $3 million, if basically my thing is if they actually go out and get a good pitcher with the money saved, I'm fine with it. But we all know they're not going to go get a pitcher with that money.
I mean, you're absolutely right, Neil. I mean, he does provide, cheap power, but we've just been told that we're trying to compete, and they said it. This isn't just the bloggers and the media speculating. Ben Cherington has been saying that we're expecting to compete this year. We're going to try to win, and then we get Rowdy Tellez. I have no problem with the Marco Gonzalez signing. That's fine, but he better make a humdinger of a trade to sort of validate signing Tellez rather than, even Carlos Santana. And I get that he's got more power than Santana, but I think Santana's we're right back to nobody can catch the ball at first base again, right? And we have O'Neal Cruz. How erratic is he going to be throwing over to first base? I don't know who's playing second base, but again, we're not getting a great first baseman, right? He's fine. He's cheap. He's average, whatever. But this isn't we're the worst team in the division, and it's not even close, right? And it's not a good division.
So let's kind of like look at that sense, right? Because like with the Endy Rodriguez news coming out, that's been our fear. Like, are the Pirates going to do enough to improve this offseason to really compete in this division, which is wide open? But you're seeing other teams do it, and the Pirates have kind of just been chilling for right now. And again, like with Endy Rodriguez out, it just creates another hole. Like there's enough holes as it is, and the places that don't have a whole lot of holes, there's risk because we're not sure what that player is yet, right? Because it's a young team. Like, does Cruz come back and be the guy that he is? Does Henry Davis actually improve, right? Does the plethora of shortstops and second basemen, does anyone stand out, right? Now Endy Rodriguez is out. And he was one of them. Like, can he take the next step? Well, the answer is no. He's not going to be here. So, like, with this news tonight, I know it's a little bit overreaction. It's fresh in our minds. This is less analysis and more just emotion, right? But it makes you think, like, what is next year becoming with this news?
I mean, you can easily. I mean, I felt this after Oviedo. You thought, oh, they're just going to punt again. They're going to say we got some, a bad hand dealt to us, and let's use this as a developmental year. Let's see if we can get Ortiz and Contreras back on track. Let's see what Triolo really is. Let's see if Hayes can do it for a season. Let's see what Sawinski can do. And let's save that money till the time to spend is actually here, right? Now, I mean, your fears now as a Pirate fan is like, okay, Paul Skeens isn't going to come up now this year, right? We're not going to get to see Paul Skeens. It's going to be right back to just develop and just, Ben Sherrington giving us 10 paragraphs that, to basically tell us, hey, we got some bad luck and, we're just going to move forward with the cards that we've been dealt, as opposed to just, hey, because now we need an outfielder in addition to needing pitching and needing, you know what I'm saying? Like Henry Davis is now the catcher, and they spent a good portion of last year telling us he could not catch. He's a hard worker. I'm hoping he can improve, but there's some concern there, and you're concerned that it's going to hurt his hitting, right? He has to focus 100% now on catching, and so listen, if they trade for Dylan Cease and Luis Robert tomorrow, I'll get over it. But that does not seem to be the kind of move this team makes, right? I mean, I will be lucky if we sign Michael Taylor. It's just, come on. We've been down this road before, and this road usually leads to Yoshi and Josh Van Meter, and not, Dylan Cease and, whatever, Cody Bellinger.
Well, can Ben Sherrington afford to punt this season? I don't think he can. I don't think you can make the fans sit through the first stretch of Pirates baseball in 3 years. Year 4 is the bridge year, and then go back to actually we're just rebuilding. I don't think that flies even with Nutting. I know Nutting doesn't really care, but I mean, Neil Huntington after year 5 had to do some sweet talking to make sure he did not get fired. I don't know how Ben survives if you just tank this year. They have to go for it, and I don't know how they're going to have to go for it, but they have to.
But is Ben going to have the backing and resources to do it?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Like that. So again, and I know we put a lot on Ben, right? I mean, he is the general manager of the team. Right. He's the one that constructs the rosters and does whatever, right? But do we have the finances? Again, we already know what they had to do. Now you add another piece.
Mm-hmm.
He has to build an excuse. Hey, look at all the woe us. Look what happened. Let's just punt this year. Because 2025 then will be the year because they're back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, you make a valid point, but then again, is Bob going to give him the necessary resources to say, you need money, go do what you need to do?
Yes. And Jim said on Starbucks this week that, by the end of the week, we could be the best team in the division if they would spend, that way. And that's still true, even with the loss of Endy Rodriguez. A couple of decent signings, and this team could be the best team in the division. Now, Nutting, I've talked about this many times. Nutting is cheap, yes, but he's just really a bad owner. He's a bad businessman. Anybody that saw what happened in 13, 14, and 15, and then decided to break it all down again, it's just an idiot, right? You had your best profit. You had the fan base totally engaged. You brought back generations of fans. And you're like, no, I don't know. I don't think we should spend $90 million again. Let's go spend $54 million and put them through 5 years of just awful. I mean, it was worse than regular tanking to me. They actively tried to lose games. They put out rosters. I mean, it's one thing to have a bad 26-man roster, but they managed games to lose. he's created a culture of losing that's hard to shake, right? I mean, these players are just accustomed to losing, and it's just, I mean, I'm over the Ben Cherington thing. It's not just, I mean, nutting is cheap, nutting is terrible, all that sort of thing. But what's Ben Cherington's signature move?
Acquiring Endy.
Acquiring Oviedo.
I mean, name what are the first, like, the five best on the team are still Huntington guys, right? I mean,
it's funny. You say this, but like, think about it. Like, his signature moves are probably pretty much the guys that are out this year. That's where we're at. That's what stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oviedo being gone made, a big hurt on this club, and now Endy's gone, and that trade worked out.
Yeah, it did. It was a good trade.
So, like, maybe if you want to spin this, like, into, like, a different light. So, like, losing Endy, is bad. Like, 100%, like, you want to see him take the next step forward. Like, nothing good is about this. But let's put it this way. Right field was already kind of an enigma for the Pirates. Because right now you have Connor Joe, Henry Davis, and Joshua Palacios competing for that right field spot. Now you have to shunt Davis, probably the catcher, full time, unless they're really believing in Sanchez and Delay which terrifies me, and I don't want to think about that. But you probably have to go get a right fielder, and you probably have to go improve. You probably have to go get a Max Kepler or maybe not a Teoscar Hernandez. He might be too expensive, but like someone to fill a gap, and you're potentially upgrading right field out of necessity, even if it's for a year. Now, this is the Pirates we're talking about, but I'm hoping that at the very least we can use this as an avenue to like actually improve the roster, because hitting wise, Endy was kind of a detriment, and you can use this as a chance to make the lineup better.
So I'm with you, and I sent this out earlier, but yeah, nothing is very good about this situation. But what it does do is it basically requires the Pirates they have to get an outfielder now, because like you mentioned, you can't have Henry Davis kind of slotted into that right field spot as kind of like a backup anymore. Like, Henry Davis is your catcher now. You need to either, like you mentioned, go find a corner outfielder, or you can go find a center fielder, and then you've got like Sawinski Joe in right field as a platoon. So there's a couple of routes that they could go, kind of depending on how they feel, like what they feel Jack Sawinski is. But yeah, that's now a necessity. Like, this team has to acquire an outfielder now. They got the first baseman out of the way. I don't know if they're done yet, but not very thrilled with the first baseman choice, but it's someone who's better than Seth Beer, basically. So it does present another opportunity for him, but it's just, again, another thing that they have to do now. They had to get a first baseman before. They had to get starting pitching. Now they have to get an outfielder.
And I think it was DiNardo who tweeted, I was like, if a dog bites you like 14 times, or like 14 out of like 17 times, like the next time you go pet the dog, you're going to anticipate being bit. Like, does anyone like here like actually think like we're going to go and with any urgency and make these moves and spend the money or make the trades?
That's part of the issue. And by the way, the numbers was 27 out of 31 times, because again, for the last 31 years, the Pirates have lost 27 seasons.
Fair enough.
27 of the last 31 years, the Pirates have had losing years.
It's a double whammy.
So for all the people that just like blindly want to say, chill out, like the Pirates are going to do the right thing, 27 out of 31 times, they just simply haven't. Like, the chances are they're not going to. So to like what your point is here, Neil, is like they certainly could, but they have to prove it to me first before I just sit back comfortably saying, I'm going to wait till February because I feel like they will. I'm going to, like, every day that I see a pitcher gone, I feel less and less inside that they are. And now it's not even pitchers that we're worried about. Like, now we really have to focus on the offense. I mean, there was like, yeah, they have to add this and that, but like they really need pitching. And now it's just simply everywhere. They need everything.
Right. And do you have confidence? Like, I don't have confidence that Nutting will allow the money. And if he did, I don't have confidence that Charrington necessarily would spend it wisely or on the right people. Again, it's hard to judge him, just like it's hard to judge Shelton in ways. But yeah, it's hard to say you feel good about. Oh yeah, they'll go. The St. Louis Cardinals would have this resolved by tomorrow. You feel like the Cubs would. It'd be fun. Most teams, they'd be like, okay, we have to go do something. We have to get aggressive. The Pirates are going to sit back and weigh their options and look and talk and just get 17 paragraphs of word salad from Ben Cherington, but end up with Rowdy Tellez and Ali Sanchez. So, I mean, you guys have talked about it. Shout out Bucko Mike. The Starbucks was great. Starbucks was great this week. I don't know what you're talking about, but they're just, it's just hard. It's just hard to believe that, that here in the next 3 or 4 days that they're going to go sign an outfielder that we're sure about. Not someone that might bounce back, not someone that might, reach potential that they didn't reach in their last spot or someone that's 107 years old, but someone that's just like, oh yeah, he's good. We all know he's good. And, he's a potential all-star. And you can't do that when you only want to spend $8 million at tops, right? It just makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, it's more that we've spent a total of I think it's less than $6 million on these two guys.
Well, Rowdy was
6.2 million total.
Okay, so a little more than an Austin Hedges on,
but 3 times as much as the Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah,
yes.
Let's be fair.
But
that's true.
That, if anything, like that shows that that means they're pitching. That Ben Cherington has to pinch his pennies, and he has to pinch them hard. If these are the solutions he's relying on for his rotation, and for first base, we spent more on players last year in free agency, which means that clearly the coffers aren't open.
And we spent it earlier last year. I mean, last year we were shocked that, we had Carlos Santana, Choi. I mean, quickly it's like, wait a minute, we've traded for first baseman. Now we've signed another first baseman, right? The last case came quickly. I mean, again, we weren't necessarily thrilled, but the fact that they were making moves and spending a little more money than in the past was somewhat encouraging. You just thought, all right. And then, in January we get the news on Kutch, and you're like, wow, this is different. It still wasn't, and then just, like more of that pirate luck. Velasquez looked good, goes down. Cruz, we've rehashed this ad nauseum. But this year, here it is. Like, there's not been a significant move made yet. I guess Gonzalez is I like the Gonzalez. We want to trash it, but he's a good left-handed pitcher. He's been good, been a very solid pitcher for most of his career. But beyond that, man,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that these moves, right? They address the rotation spot, they address first base, didn't spend a lot of money. So hopefully that means we're using that money to fill these other holes. Again, they've got to prove it to me, before I believe it. It's not something that they've done historically. We just saw the Royals give more money to Seth Lugo than any Pirates free agent signing has ever received in their history. And Seth Lugo is a guy who is 100% someone the Pirates should be going after. So just players like that you want to see the Pirates in on, they're not in on. But you have to hope there's something else up Cherington's sleeve here, and something actually impactful, because you can't just go out there and sign a bunch of reclamation projects.
It almost has to be a trade, right? I mean, it's just about, because, clearly they don't want to spend money. And the other thing is, why would a free agent sign here, a good free agent? Why would they sign here this early in the season when we've done nothing else to improve the team? If you're
money.
Yeah, money.
Well, yeah, but we're not. We don't seem to be outspending the Kansas City Royals. How are we going to compete with?
Hey, we did for Rowdy Tellez. Yeah. We outspent everybody.
Is that one of those bidding against yourself deals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, in a vacuum, the Tellez deal's fine. He's probably going to platoon. I mean, I would prefer better, but right. But when I see the rolling of the eyes there, Jim. But would you, if there was some other move, but you take this on with the Endy news, and the reality is right. Replacing Endy's offensive output is not difficult from what he did last year. The real kicker there, the killer, is the year of lost development. And again, with the Pirates, you're afraid okay, we're just going to push this on down the road. But if they go out and make a move that brings in a legitimate starter, a legitimate outfielder, free agent signing or trade, whatever, suddenly you're not so hung up about the Tellez move. The Gonzalez moves look better. You're okay with things, but man, they got to go. Like I said, they got to go get a guy that can actually play. Or two of them. We need another guy in the rotation, and we need it could be an outfielder or whatever. But I'd take a good second baseman at this point.
Yeah. So it's tough news because again, it's another player lost that you were counting on. And you're mentioning, Doug, how you can replace his production from last year. And that's true because much like every other rookie from the Pirates, they just weren't good. Right. But the problem is you needed him to take a step forward, right? He's part of the crop of all the Pirates that have to take a step forward for this team to compete. And that's why you want them to spend money to help mitigate some of that risk because not all of them are going to. But again, with him being out, there's no hope of him coming back to be better, right? Like he could essentially be a league average hitter next year at the catcher position, having some decent catcher metrics, right? That's a positive. I mean, he could essentially become a 2-WAR player next year. And that was the hope for him. And that's gone. So like you're saying, Jason DeLay was fine as a backup. Henry Davis is essentially the catcher now. That we know what he's going to be next year. He's a catcher by default.
Yeah. Mystery solved, right?
So again, another guy who has to find that production offensively. He has to come and do that, right? Same thing we're talking about Endy. But the difference is all kinds of question marks defensively from him. So he has to do it on both ends, not just
he's going to have to hit much better than Endy would.
And now you need to replace the 2-WAR again from Endy in the outfield like you're talking of. And it's just there's a lot to ask for now. There is just so much to ask for out of Ben Cherington. Jim, you mentioned it time and time. If he's able to do it, I'm not take your words, whatever you said. But now he has to do that plus the loss of Endy.
Yeah, I've said it a couple times this offseason. If he is able to take this current situation and turn this roster into a contender, I'll give him credit. I'll give him credit for doing that. So again, TBD. I'm curious to see how he addresses these situations because there are a lot of holes, and I don't know if he's going to spend the money to fill these. We'll see.
It's kind of the catch-22 because he can't spend the money, so he can't get the big people in. But because he can't spend the money, he can't afford to trade his prospects away. And so he's kind of stuck in this situation where, not that I want to defend Ben Cherington, but there's probably a good reason why he prospect hugs. If his budget was $20 million this offseason, you can't, if you trade someone substantial for a Max Kepler and Anthony Santander, you're blowing half your budget on a corner outfielder. That would be great. But the point is you almost have to depend on the prospects. And now we've lost one of our biggest ones. And that's what really hurts because he can't trade them. He can't sign anyone big. And now one of the big contributors is now out for the year. It sucks.
Yep. That's what I was talking about today. I mean, capital's capital. You have prospect capital and you have actual financial capital. But why blow the prospect capital when you can just simply use dollars and still have your prospects that still up and come or use later in trades, maybe in a few years from now or whatnot. I mean, you're not given any financial capital to do that with, and you have to use prospect capital. And it's just you spent 5 years to rebuild, to blow it all just to complete a roster for 2024. That just doesn't seem wise. So I get it. I wouldn't do that either. I wouldn't just go and trade away all my people that I've spent all this time acquiring and telling the entire fan base that there's good reason that I'm doing this. to just blow it all so I can actually have a roster in 2024. So again, and we'll talk more about this, not to hinge like too long on this aspect of it, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, there's question marks already, but like after the ending news, I just don't know how to make of this offseason where they're headed. I don't. Do they excuse themselves and say it just wasn't smart to invest this year? We've lost too much. There's no point. You see the landscape. Everyone is competing in the NL Central. We're just going to take another year back.
Yeah, I think to what Neil was saying, I don't think they can afford to do that again. Like I think Neil Honey, I think Ben Cherington's job is safe like for another year, no matter what happens. But I don't think they can afford to do it just from a public relations, goodwill with their fan standpoint. Like another year of just not trying just isn't going to sit very well.
They had a 30% increase in attendance just because they put a semi-watchable roster on it. Like they can't go back. Like they're like the messaging again was like that was the bridge year. Now get excited for now it's our time to compete. You can't just reverse that because of a couple injuries. And if a couple of injuries are destroying the entire attempt, then this was never going to work in the first place. Like you're talking about two guys who combined for 3 WAR last year. If you can't replace that, we weren't going to be good ever. And it just sucks.
Yeah, the Pirates, when you talk about their fan relations and public relations, they've never been very good at that. They've never seemed too concerned with that. I mean, this, Nutting and this management team in particular, I mean, they've been every time Travis Wade speaks, he sticks his foot in his mouth and says something stupid. Cherington never says anything, but to me, they almost have contempt for the fans. We're a bunch of idiots who don't know what we're talking about, and how dare we question his brilliant plan? But there is no evidence that Cherington's plan is working. When Carmen Majinski and Jared Triolo are the best rookies of that lot that we brought up, of all those guys. I mean, we've brought up his 2020 first-round pick and Nick Gonzalez. Didn't get much there. We brought up the 2021, 1A. Didn't get much out of that. We brought up his first, one of his big trade acquisitions. Didn't get much out of that. Or two, really, when you count Leo Peguero. He was his first trade. And they don't seem too motivated, too concerned with what the fans think. They have this great plan, and the execution of the plan hasn't been great. So I mean, to me, it's easy to see him. It's easy for me to see Ben going to Bob Nutting and saying, "We lost Oviedo, we lost Endy. I think we should just save our money this year. Wait for next year and let us work on. We still have a chance because Quinn Priester and Roenzi and Luis and Ortiz are all going to sort of take steps forward. We'll be better than you think. Blah 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 blah." And I mean, they've been selling us prospects the whole time. We ourselves have somewhat become prospect huggers. It's just the nature of being a Pirate fan. I'm like, it's time to trade some of these dudes and get actual players. But we'll see.
Well, fellas, it was nice grieving with y'all.
Much needed.
Yeah. I just,
Thank you.
I feel like, again, we could talk for hours about this, but that's probably not the best interest for everyone. We'll just go round and round for a bit, but the news is out. It is official. Like, Endy Rodriguez is going to be gone for all of 2024. Another big blow. And here's the thing too, just something to think about, right? It's not huge news in this aspect, but that's another 40-man roster that has to be utilized. Like, they can't put on the 60-day yet, right? So they can't really fill or replace them. So you still have this 40-man semi-crunch to talk about. Again, there's a lot of holes to fill. There's a lot of things they need to do, but there's a lot of guys in the 40-man that can't actually even physically play. So they just kind of had to hang on to them. So again, that's also something to maybe think about, is that's going to have any implications on how they proceed this offseason. Not sure. But yes, Endy Rodriguez out for all of 2024. I guess with that said, we will be back again tomorrow night for our regular schedule NS9 Live. We'll be talking more about this and others. Hopefully by then we've grieved enough to just not sulk as much.
You guys can put
Hey,
last words before we go.
Maybe they sign like Marcus Stroman tomorrow or something.
Good luck, buddy.
I think half the fans would hate that anyways.
Oh, the Pittsburgh media would have
Actually,
a field day with that.
I mean, we're never happy. I mean, half of us are always pissed about. I don't care, How dare we, defer money for, for Shohei Ohtani? That's bad business. It's going to hurt us in 2049. So I mean, there's a contingent that's always unhappy.
Do you think they do that? Like, I don't say this is hilarious or funny, but like, could you imagine the Pirates? Okay, guys, we got to make a signing tomorrow. We got to stop this bad news. And they get, like you said, they get Marcus Stroman, and Pittsburgh's like even worse. Like they're more pissed off.
Yeah, tomorrow's show is even more.
Like, you make a move, but not that move.
He's got like all of Pirates Twitter blocked.
Right.
Sign him and Joey Votto or something.
It's like, all right, they want to spend money. We did it.
Yeah.
Stroman, 4 years, $80 million, and everyone's pissed off.
You guys can
I
be
would
pissed
welcome
off.
it.
I would be like celebrating that we actually spent $80
I
million
love
on a
Mark.
pitcher.
I love Marcus Stroman.
He's a real
I love
live
him.
pitcher. I'm on board. Bring him in. I was
All
gonna
right.
post my "Is Mitch Keller good?" article, but I think I'm gonna hold off a couple days on that.
Maybe wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as they say, let's shut this down. So we'll get out of here. Again, tomorrow night, 9:00. Oh God, now I can't. Thanks for the super chat, Geddes. He says Denardo, keep
Geddes.
going. I can't sign off now, guys. So any last words before we go? Unless
My
people
last
pay us.
words are: I think Henry Davis and Jason DeLay are going to be a very capable catching tandem. We need to see if they address that outfield spot because they're going to have to do that.
My last words are: a trade is coming. Trades take a little longer to work out. Teams are still, reaching out to free agents, doing that sort of thing. They're not sure what the roster is, so they're not sure what they can trade. So I think a trade is coming. It just might take some time. I mean, it's December, for crying out loud. Pitchers and catchers aren't reporting tomorrow, so there's some time to make a good move.
Doug, it's December, for crying out loud.
My last words is that we all die someday, so one day we won't have to cheer for the Pirates anymore.
There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Just so you know, I'm a cancer survivor, and sometimes I think maybe I'm not a survivor. Maybe I died, and this is my hell. Right? I think I died in 1993, and this is the hell I've been sentenced to. Happy, joy.
Guys, we just got another super chat.
just
From
got another
Dennis.
one.
I got to keep the show going some more. Any second to last words? No, I'll go on this though. I think we talked about this last year for some other reason, but like things like this, if you want to look at any positive, opportunities brew, right? So we weren't sure about Henry Davis's future. We weren't sure how they're going to utilize him, right? We kept kind of pounding the table, like, what are you doing with Henry Davis? Why are you screwing his development? He's supposed to catch last year. He didn't. He has the keys to the table now. Like this catching duty, it's his. He is going to be the catcher for 2024. So we are about to find out for sure if Henry Davis can catch and how good of a player he is all around and all that. And like the other aspect too is Henry Davis doesn't need to learn 38 positions now. He can focus on that. So maybe that makes the bat come more alive.
This might be the thing that unlocks him. He may now be what he wants to be, a catcher, a leader, in a position where he's in control and of everything and that sort of thing. So this might last year, I think he came up, he played right field. He was terrible. I think it got in his head. I think it got to his bat. Now let him go be the best possible version of what he wants to be, a catcher. He's going to put the work in. And you're right. I think this might unlock him, and he's like, okay, I'm the catcher now, so there's no looking back.
Guys, we got another super chat from Geddes.
Great.
He does not want us to end. Geddes, Jim wants to go to bed, but I guess because he sent the super chat, he paid. So his question is: should the Pirates trade for Judge? Shut it down. No,
Well, I mean, absolutely. Yes, they should.
Oh,
I mean, if the question is should they, the answer
if he's
is
available,
yes.
if he's on the block, right? They absolutely should. Again, I go back to your Starbucks. You guys were great. The Pirates can make these kind of moves. They can afford. They could sign a big time free agent, and that's the kind of thing they should do. Put a little money into the product, and maybe the fans will come. I'm vamping here. I'm just
before you
Geddes, are you done? Can
before you
Jim go to
trade
bed
Frere
now?
and Judge, would you consider the stakeholders for a second?
Wait, what was that?
They couldn't consider the shareholders. I don't think they would like a Judge trade, and that's what's important here. I don't know. Yes, trade Frere and Judge, but
Yes.
If the Pirates
One
had
day.
anything worth for them to entice to trade Judge, sure, because that would probably end up being that would be a fleece for the Pirates.
They would have to trade. I mean, theoretically, they'd probably have to trade Keller, Termar, Brian
Cruz.
Reynolds, and Brian Hayes.
There you go.
I don't think I'd like that trade.
No, that would be a bad trade.
Yeah.
All right, quick guys, before Geddes pays us any more money, let's get out of here. So everyone for watching, I'm sorry. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.